Hallelujah. We're going to start in verse 12 of chapter 11 of the book of Mark. Here we go. The next morning as they were leaving Bethany, Jesus was hungry. He noticed a fig tree in full leaf a little way off, so he went over to see if he could find any figs. But there were only leaves because it was too early in the season for fruit. Real quick, we're going to stop. When you study fig trees, when there are leaves, there should be figs. When there are leaves, there should be, which is why Jesus was like, oh, I'm hungry. Let me go get some figs. There were leaves with no figs. Jesus said to the tree, may no one ever eat your fruit again. And the disciples heard him say it. When they arrived back in Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple and began to drive out the people buying and selling animals for sacrifices. He knocked over the tables of the money changers and the chairs of those selling doves. And he stopped everyone from using the temple as a marketplace. He said to them, the scriptures declare my temple will be called a house of prayer for all nations, but you have turned it into a den of thieves. That evening, Jesus and the disciples left the city. The next morning, as they passed by the fig tree he had cursed, the disciples noticed it had withered from the roots. Say, from the roots. That's important because do you know where the roots are? They're in the ground. It had withered from the roots. When he saw the leaves on the tree, it was an external validation that there should be fruit and life in the tree. When Jesus saw the tree and he saw the leaves, it was external validation of what should have been happening internally with the fruit on the tree. Is anybody getting spoken to right now? Jesus saw an external reality with no internal reality. Because the tree was deceptive, Jesus curses the tree. The tree gave Jesus the impression that it could feed him, but when he got there, there was nothing but a good look. There was no substance. And he cursed the external activity because there was no internal reality. Mark 11:15, let's read it again. When they arrived back in Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple and began to drive out the people buying and selling animals for sacrifices. He knocked over the tables of the money changers and the chairs of those selling doves. And he stopped everyone from using the temple as a marketplace. He said to them, the scriptures declare, my temple will be called a house of prayer for all nations, but you have turned it into a den of thieves. Yesterday, Jesus goes up to a fig tree that looked like it had fruit, but when he got there, there was no fruit. Today, he goes to church, and he sees the exact same thing. This didn't happen by chance, that Jesus cursed the fig tree here, and then he rolls into the temple, and he sees the very thing that he saw yesterday in people that he saw on a tree. Jesus walked into church. You know how you know that there were the right people there? It's because there was a priest there. So he goes to the temple, and there are people there. But what he saw was what he saw on the tree. He saw people that looked right, maybe even sounded right, but they had no internal reality of why they were there. And we talked about it Friday night. Jesus rolled up a whip and started whipping folks out of the temple. That's my Jesus. These people had leaves, but they had no fruit. Religion without spiritual reality is a leaf with no light.